What's up, people of Twitch, people of YouTube? Welcome to the MongoDB stream.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Lauren.
Hi, friends.
This is Luce.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, we are so glad to be hanging with y'all today. In case you don't know us, let's introduce ourselves. So, Luce, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yes, so I'm Luce. I'm a developer advocate here at MongoDB, and I am very lucky to work with Lauren on our super team.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Lauren Schaefer. I'm also a developer advocate here at MongoDB, and I'm very lucky to work with Luce. I keep pointing the wrong way. This is Luce.
We can almost do like the high five thing, like that way.
Oh, can we do it? Oh, why is this so hard? Either way, I'm going the wrong direction.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, this is really, really embarrassing.
Started to mean to go on, right?
We should have practiced this. We were talking about going unscripted. Okay, we should have practiced that. So I'm over in Pennsylvania, which is on the east coast of the U.S. We got hammered with rain yesterday. I'd love to hear where all of you are from. If you want to type in the chat, tell us where you're dialing in from. Luce, where are you coming to us from today?
Manchester in England.
Ooh.
And it's actually sunny today. I closed the blind because the window's there and it would just cause light problems, but it's actually sunny today, amazingly. We have a bad reputation for that. Apparently it's always raining.
Yeah, we had horrible rain yesterday, and it's a gorgeous, beautiful day today. So, ooh, we got lots of people coming in from all over. We've got Boston, what's up? Singapore. Oh, okay. I don't know if I can go fast enough. Denmark. What's up, Diego? Diego's from our team.
Ooh.
Atlanta, Sri Lanka, India, global today. I love it. Louisville, Scottsdale, Singapore, Canada. Okay. I'm not going to be able to click through all these. I think Canada, Ireland. Oh, there's Rita. Okay. Rita's our boss. Hey, Rita.
Rita's the best.
For sure. Rita, can we get some brownie points for showing your comment on the screen? I think so. Brazil, Croatia. This is awesome. Welcome to the stream, everybody. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit subscribe, click all the buttons. What are those buttons?
If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch, sorry, not Twitter, hit follow. There's no such thing as subscribe. There we go. Well, Twitch has subscriptions, but not to a company account. We're going to include all the platforms here.
Welcome, everyone. Berlin. Hey, and I would love to connect with you on social media. So I'm going to post a link to my link tree. It's got links to my, I'm primarily on Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok, so I would love to connect with you there. Luce, do you have any socials you want to promote?
I can. I don't actually have what do you call it? Linktree. That's fancy, but I can share. No, I can't. Hang on, I'll paste it in here. You can do the magic. There you go.
Awesome. And someone is asking, is live closed captioning available? I don't actually know. Does YouTube have like a button you can click?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I can have a look.
All right. I'm sorry, Jennifer. That is a great question, and we will bring it back to the team for future streams.
100%. I'll have a quick look now, but yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Sorry. We'll work on it. And then real quick, before we kick things off, I see we've got a vote to start. So right before we do that, just want to let you guys know, if you love learning things with Luce, she's got a stream coming up pretty soon, right? Later this month?
I do, yeah. So we're going to, on the 15th of September, I'm going to be joined by a special guest as we learn all about schema validation, which might not sound very exciting, but I promise it's important, it's fun. It's all about, essentially a level, you don't need Mongoose in your apps anymore, but that's just a JavaScript level. But yeah, Yeah, no, it's just me learning something new. We're going to learn all about schema validation and how cool it is, and it's going to be great fun. So it's the
Yeah, a lot of
15th of
people don't
September
realize
at the same time, 5 p.m. BST. Is it 11 a.m. for you? No, midday?
it's noon Eastern, which is 9
Um,
a.m. Pacific.
yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Time zones. Oh.
Time zones, I know. All right. You guys are excited. When do we start? Okay, we're gonna start right now. I'm thrilled that you guys are excited. Let's kick things off. So today we're going to be talking about how to raise your profile as a developer. And here is an actual conversation, pretty close to what I had with my big boss, Joe, last summer. So I was bugging Joe for a promotion, and I just said straight up, Joe, what do I need to do to get promoted? And he was like, Lauren, you're doing great work, but you've got to raise your profile internally at the company. People need to know who you are and what you're doing. And I thought, ugh, like I hate networking. Like I know my teammates, but getting to know people outside of my immediate team is really hard. I'm a remote employee. I've been full-time remote, for I guess 11 years now throughout my career. A lot
Wow.
of people are working remotely right now as well. Yeah. So it's tricky, right? I know, Luce, you joined when we were all remote, and it's hard to get to know the wider team when you're remote.
Yeah, it's
So,
like I've been remote. This is my first ever remote job, actually, officially.
oh, okay, how are you liking it?
Uh, Sometimes I kind of have to stop myself from doing fun things in here after work, like playing on my computer and playing video games, because I'm like, if it's a weekday, I'm like, oh, then it's work, and then I blur the lines a bit. But like overall, it's great, and I think we're just lucky that we work somewhere where we're very pro remote culture, and so we connect on a regular basis. And like, even though I'm on a computer, I feel connected to my team, which is nice. But it's difficult to have those organic conversations that you might have.
For sure. Yeah, Diego is saying also been remote since forever. Yeah, so I love talking about remote work. So if you I've given a talk over the last year about how to make remote work actually work. So if you want to dig into that, we'll find the link at some point. So okay, we're going to stay on topic though. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, so when you're remote, it's hard to get outside of your immediate team, right? And I just thought to myself, can't I just put my head down and do my work well? Like, ugh, I don't want to do this. So I called up Ken, and Ken, who's at it, well, oh, keep it to myself. Ken's my boy, and I called up Ken and I said, I need a plan to raise my profile. And Ken made several suggestions, and I didn't like his suggestions because they pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I said, Ken, I really like my comfort zone. And Ken said, do it anyway. So I did. And this made my boss happy because it was easy to make a case for my promotion. And he said, Lauren, you're promoted, which made me do a happy dance inside my head.
Always
Lesbian
Parks and
happy
Rec.
dance. Always, always. So this idea of raising my profile has been a theme throughout my career. So early in my career as a software engineer, my managers would talk to me about expanding my scope and demonstrating influence both inside and outside the company. And maybe you've heard similar things about scope or influence or reputation, or maybe you're doing your job really well and you're like scratching your head trying to figure out why you're not getting promoted. So I'm curious if anybody else in the chat can relate. Have you heard this? Like you gotta take things to the next level. It's very frustrating. Have you heard this feedback, Luce?
Yeah. Like my career's taken a bit of an interesting trajectory, so I haven't necessarily been. I've moved sideways more, and I've moved upwards. But yeah, I've heard those terms come out, whether it's to me directly or to people around me when they've talked about promotions.
Yeah. Doing your job well is probably not going to be enough to get promoted and for doors to start opening for you. You're going to have to put in the work to raise your profile. All right, so what do I mean by profile? So I'm talking about what people know about you or what people remember about you. So your profile consists of things like who you are, what you can do, and what you're known for. So let's work through an example, a little bit about me. So who I am a staff developer advocate at MongoDB. And internally at my company, people also need to know what team I'm on and what part of the organization I'm in. So I'm on the DevRel team under Rita Rodriguez, who we saw earlier in the chat today. So people need to know where I am. So what can I do? And these could be technical skills or soft skills. So I enjoy building web apps using JavaScript and Node.js. I love helping people model data in MongoDB and talking about schema design patterns and anti-patterns, as well as building CI/CD pipelines. And I also really enjoy speaking at conferences. So I'm going to pause and ask all of you out there to just take a minute and think, what can you do? So write in the chat what some of your technical skills or your soft skills are. And while we're waiting for people to reply, Luce, I'm curious, what are some of your skills that you like to advertise?
Well, that's a good question. So I guess sort of following the model that you've so well set out in that slide, I build mobile apps in C# using the Xamarin framework. I also am a public speaker at user groups and conferences. I love helping people battle imposter syndrome or just raising awareness of it. You know, I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't fix imposter syndrome, but you know, you can help be supportive and kind of be open about it and help people kind of realize it's a thing. And strange as it sounds, learning. Like I love to learn, and like I think I'm an expert beginner at a lot of things. Like, you know, I can do Node.js now. I can do a bit of TypeScript. I can make mobile apps. I can do a bit of React. Like, you know, there's a really British term which has got fingers in a lot of pies, and I think that's me when it comes to learning. Like, I just get involved in all sorts of things because I just love to learn. So I'm like, oh, let's, you know, do something like that. And I guess the only other thing I'm kind of not known for, but I can do is obviously write technical articles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do a lot of writing on our team.
We do.
Yeah, and I know you for your Twitch stream, right? Is all about, it covers imposter syndrome a lot, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the whole theme of my stream. So I even have like sword emotes and stuff. So and my emoji is like some cartoons I got made of me in a suit of armor holding a sword or waving and doing like heart shapes. Like the whole idea of my stream is just to learn in the open, and sometimes you'll watch me have a mini meltdown over CSS. But it's okay because we all struggle, and so it's just about being open and going, do you know what? This sucks. It's hard. I've been developing on and off for over 10 years, but look, I still do silly things. Like, it wasn't on stream, but the other day I spent ages with the Twitch API and JavaScript tearing my hair out because I couldn't work out why it was giving me an error. And then it turned out that I just put a word in all capital letters that needed to be just capitalized at the first letter. And I was like, wow, there's an hour of my life I'll never get back.
Painful.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out. People are saying what they can do. So Nick, we love Nick. Nick's an author.
Nick's
love
great.
That.
Yeah.
All right, Scarface. I build PWA web apps using Angular. Oh, what is do you know? I don't know that acronym.
PWA is Progressive Web App. It's nice. Kind of like widgets. So the best example that a lot of people might have heard of is, you remember a few years ago, Twitter did this thing where we were like, oh, hey, you know, you can go and have the Twitter app on your homepage on your mobile device. Mm-hmm. That was a PWA.
Oh, cool. Hey, Node.js and MongoDB. Hearts for that. Love it.
Oh, we've got a good question in chat, which we'll get to in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Just what's my the link for my Twitch?
Oh, that is a great question. Yes.
There we go.
Very good. Building bots using Dialogflow, creating web apps using Angular and Django. Love it.
Nice.
Well, web apps in Node. We could be buddies. Web apps with React. Backend engineering and technical writing. Oh, we're going to talk about how important writing is later. I like psychology, and I like interacting with people related to mental health mental issues to help them. Wow. Love that.
I love how varied these answers are.
Yes. I think that's what's so cool too. Like a lot of times we think we need to build teams, with people who have very similar skills, but it's so great when you get that diversity and everybody can kind of specialize in their own thing. Mean stack. I love this. Web apps with Node or with JavaScript and Node. And networking skills. Love that. Soft skills. .NET. Still a student. That's okay. If you're programming, you're a developer. You're doing it. Oh, this one's great. Tech skills. Full stack developer. Mobile app developer. Great team worker. Singer. That's fun and self-motivated. Mern stack. All right. Web apps. I've got so many answers here. I don't know that I can go through them all. Thank you all so much for sharing. These are fantastic examples for everybody. I have a feeling that you are inspiring people. When you write your idea down, then it inspires other people to think, oh yeah, I know that too. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's great to see so many answers from people coming in. It's awesome.
Is this talk going to be available? Yes, it will be available on YouTube right after the stream ends. All right, so that kind of talks about what you can do. Let's talk about what you're known for. So I'm known for, I think anyway, and Lucy, you can tell me how accurate this is. I'm known for creating engaging and easy to understand content, specifically articles and videos. Okay. So I'm known for like my Node Quick Start series, my anti-pattern series, and my Realm CI/CD series. I am also known for my dedication to excellence and being detail-oriented, and also that I'm a remote work advocate. We talked about this. So it's always nice, I think, when you start thinking about your personal brand to also get feedback from other people and find out what they think of what you're known for, because that's great to know as well. So once again, I'm curious about people on the stream. Oh, I've got one more. I forgot. I'm also known for silly TikToks.
They're not silly though. They're valuable.
They're silly. It's okay. So I would love to pause, and I'm going to ask you all there, what are you known for? And there could be overlap between what you do, or it could be something different. So write in the chat what you're known for. And if you can't think of anything, write what you would like to be known for. All right. So Luce, I'm curious, what are you known for?
Well, I think I'm known for a lot of things to a lot of people because, as I said, I have my finger in a lot of pies. But I guess I'm known for being a Xamarin developer / speaker. Mm-hmm. I'm known for Twitch streaming, as you mentioned earlier. My mum, bless her, is obviously my number one supporter, tells me that I'm great at explaining things to people without coming across as patronizing, which is nice.
Yes.
I'm also detail orientated. I've previously been on retainer to a friend who works at Microsoft to edit all the typos in his blog posts. I'm probably also known a little bit for helping curate a Xamarin newsletter where we just bring together all the amazing work that's been written that week by the community.
I love that. And that's a great way to get your name out there, because now you're going beyond just your immediate community. It's to any Xamarin developer out there in the world, right?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. My first ever moment of oh, don't worry, you don't need to give your name, I know who you are, actually came because of the newsletter. Because the way we do the newsletter each week is whoever was the main curator that week will write like some blurb at the top of each issue that we call it. And so we have in the system that we use to curate, we have photos at the top, and so people know what my face looks like from releasing episodes of the issues of the newsletter. So I went to a Xamarin event and went to get my name badge, and they're like, "Oh, I know who you are. Here you go, Luce. Like, I know you from the newsletter."
That's
and I was
awesome.
Like, yeah. Like, obviously, it's a Xamarin event, so it's very specific. But I was like, "Cool, I've made it."
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's see what some other people have said they're known for. Scarface is known for being unique and creative. Let's see. Oh, I scrolled up. Oh, you're a really pleasant speaker. I don't know if you're talking to me or Luce, but thank you.
I'm sure they're talking to you.
Now I'm sure they're talking to you. Okay. I'm known for researching what I don't know and making beats. That's awesome. I assume we're talking about music, I think.
I assume
I don't
so,
know.
yeah.
I get a little dumber when I get myself on a stream like this. Tech geek. I
I'm
love
sure
that.
that's not possible.
Oh, good point, Diego. Luz is known as being a Microsoft MVP.
That's true. I am. I don't normally forget that because that's something I'm very proud of. A really good friend of mine who I actually streamed with on my account a few weeks ago became a Microsoft MVP yesterday, and she didn't quite realize kind of what an achievement it is being an MVP. And she's like, "Oh, I thought it was an anyone kind of deal." And I was like, "Why do you think I talk about it with such pride? Like, I cried when I found out I became a Microsoft MVP. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that. It was a huge moment in my life and career."
That's awesome. And very similar. Very similar. We've got a MongoDB Champions program where we celebrate people in the MongoDB community. So if you're interested, do a little Google for that.
Absolutely.
We've got a question. Do you mean building your profile bounded inside the organization or even outside the organization? It is both, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Let's see. I'm known for stunning document and presentation maker within my colleagues. I love that. I love people who can communicate well. That's awesome. I'm known for knowing the answer, but being opinionated. I'm known for rapping songs of Eminem. I guess I'm also similar to that. I'm known for making Parks and Rec references in like almost all of my talks. So
Yes, yeah.
yes.
We started a bit of a running joke in our team that only 2 shows are allowed their GIFs to end up in our team chat, and that's Parks and Rec and Saved by the Bell.
I do love Saved by the Bell. I haven't started putting it into my talks yet, but I love it. Known for finding tons of CS academic resources and sharing them amongst my classmates. That's awesome. So super valuable.
100%. I think when I was at university or college, as the North Americans call it, I think the most valuable times I had in my final year were when I found a group of like-minded students with me, and we used to learn together. And so being able to share knowledge between each other, absolutely priceless.
Screech. Okay. All right. We won't go down the Saved by the Bell rabbit hole. We'll keep moving. Thank you all so much for sharing. I love it. So it's worthwhile. Take some time. Think about what you want your profile or your personal brand to be, and talk with other people. See what they already think about you, because that can inform it. And then think about how you want to modify that and move it in the future. All right. Some of you are probably sitting here thinking, but why do I have to do this? Right? Isn't technology a meritocracy? Can't my work just speak for itself? So I'm going to cover 4 reasons why you should raise your profile, and then I'm going to talk about how you're going to actually do that. So first up, why? For a lot of software engineering roles, raising your profile is actually part of the promotion requirements. So I went and looked at many publicly available promotion requirements for software engineers, and companies have different names for their promotion requirements. Some companies call them career frameworks or career ladders or title matrices. But these are the documents that tell you what you have to do to get promoted. So I saw a common theme across these documents. I'm going to show you 3 of them. So here's Patreon. Patreon levels their engineers from IC1 all the way up to IC6. So their career levels document has a category specifically for influence. So here are some of the items included in the influence category. So starting at IC3, you're starting to broaden your impact. IC4 routinely has initiative to domain level impact. IC5 routinely has engineering-wide impact. And IC6, that's their biggest one, routinely has org to industry level impact. So as you move up the engineering levels, your influence is expected to increase both inside and outside the company. Let's take a look at medium. The medium engineering growth rubric has a section specifically on evangelism. So they list different levels of evangelism. So starting out, You're going to represent Medium well externally and influence individuals positively. Next up, participates more centrally in small events and takes simple actions that positively influence groups of people. Works hard to positively influence large groups of people on their views of Medium. Establishes Medium as a great, innovative company and workplace to the whole industry. And then finally, introduces Medium in a positive light to a wider audience outside the industry. So this evangelism section focuses primarily on external influence. All right, one more example for you. Let's talk about Khan Academy. So their engineering career development document has an emphasis specifically on evangelism and public artifacts. I love their explanation. So like every great presenter, I'm just going to read it to you. So, being open and sharing our work is at the heart of our development philosophy. We work on exciting stuff, the type of stuff that energizes passionate, smart people and makes them want to help in any way possible. The more you blog about our work, share our progress, and connect with the development community, the more likely we are to attract top talent and become an exemplary dev team. This type of stuff increases your market value, thus justifying our paying you more money. I always like that. And when you do them as a representative of Khan Academy, they reflect well on us, establishing our reputation as being the kind of place where the elite celebrity developers work, which in turn attracts more great developers. So their career document goes on to give specific examples of the types of evangelism and artifacts they want their engineers to create. So some companies focus more on internal influence, while others focus more on external influence, but it's a fairly common theme to see in the higher ranks of software engineers and developers. You have to show that you are influencing others and that you have a growing reputation. All right, so a lot of the time, it's part of the implicit promotion requirements. Now, every company is different, but most of the time, your manager is not going to be able to give you a promotion on their own. At the lower levels, your boss's boss and maybe your boss's peers need to approve the promotion. As you get into the higher levels, leaders across your organization and your company will also need to agree. So the management team and executives need to know who you are and the work that you do in order to approve the promotion. Raising your profile opens doors. So those doors could be things like a new role at your company, or a job at another company, or a leadership opportunity, or an invitation to speak at a conference, or a chance to build connections with other industry leaders. So as you build your profile, doors will begin opening for you.
Just to interrupt, I'd say I can't agree more with this. Interesting anecdote, actually. When I gave my first ever conference talk way back in 2018, one of the people in the audience was Layla Porter, who's a member of the .NET Foundation board at the moment and a very good friend of mine in real life. But she ended up in a conversation with Rita earlier in the year, and Rita mentioned putting a team together. And so she put us in contact. So by giving a talk at a conference, I then not only did I make a great friend for life, but her introductions actually led to my job. And it is my dream job.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's incredible once you start building those connections, how it trickles out. I'm curious if anybody in the chat has a story like that. I would love to hear it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche that you hear, but when I was, I did a graduate program at an IT company after I got out of university college, and one of the sayings that they said to us in our first ever get together was, "It's not about what you know; it's about who you know." And at the time, it felt like such a dirty cliche. But, this job I got from a friend, my last, or I got introductions through a friend. My last job, a friend of mine runs a local .NET user group. And when I was looking to kind of get back into .NET development, I had a conversation with him and then he did a referral. So I got my last job as well via a friend. It really is just about who you know. So you just can't beat networking and, getting your profile out there.
Mm-hmm. And Jeremy's saying that Sarah Drossner has an excellent summary of career ladders at careerladders.dev. So I'll have to check that out afterwards. Thanks for pointing us to that. All right, and yeah, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat as we go, and we'll pause and answer them.
Yeah, we love good questions here. And just remember, the only type of stupid question is the one you don't ask.
There you go. All right, last reason why. It's going to attract people to your company. Now, a few minutes ago, we talked about Khan Academy. They stated in their career development doc, engineers want to work with other amazing engineers. When you raise your profile, other awesome engineers are going to want to work with you. Now, if your company has referral bonuses, this is a nice monetary perk, but also this means you're going to get to work with other awesome people, which is always nice. So as you're thinking about raising your profile, you want to think about both internally in your company, as well as externally in the broader developer community. So internally, you want to think about working your way outward from your immediate team to your management team, to your department, to people throughout your company, all the way up to your executive team, which can seem super scary, at least to me. When you think about raising your profile externally, you might start with former colleagues or classmates. You might get connected with other developers in your local area at meetups or hackathons. And you might work to reach the global developer community, either in person or online. So it's up to you if you want to focus internally or externally. Often external efforts will also create internal visibility as well. All right. So yeah, I'm checking out the comments. So having an online presence really helps in growing for sure. Networking is important, but showcasing your skills is just as important. This person has a wonderful philosophy for learning in public. Ooh, that's what you do, Luce, like all the time, right?
Yes. That's why when I had the pleasure of getting what we call the Twitch series on this account, where I took a break in August because so many people go on vacation, as you call it, I don't know why we Brits do it. It's like an inherent thing that we do. It's like everyone knows what words we use, but we automatically just Americanize everything when talking externally. I don't know why. USA's take over the world.
We appreciate it. We know.
But what was I saying about vacation? I can't remember now.
You were talking about your stream, but you took a break in August.
Yeah, so I took a break in August because everyone's always away. But yeah, that's why I've called my Twitch series "Learning with Luce" because it's literally just going to be me learning things. And the last Twitch stream we did, which was our first one, I was learning Python and how to use MongoDB with Python. I just about know Python a little bit, but it's not a language I'd say that I know particularly well. And so I was just learning out in the open, and people got to watch me do typos, make mistakes, get confused. And that's okay, because we're human beings, we make mistakes, and we all have to start somewhere. And it's just, I think the more of us that are just open and trying to learn together, the more people realize that, yeah, it can be difficult, but it can also be fun.
For sure. Yeah, Diego, who's on our team, is saying he started speaking at conferences to raise his profile while freelancing. He wrote in his blog in PC World. I didn't know PC World. And that talked people at MongoDB into thinking he was an okay-ish hire. You've been a great hire, Diego.
I was going to say you're one of the family. You belong here.
Yeah. All right, we've got a question here. Learning more things versus being a professional in what you already know. For example, knowing Java, but learning C# and other languages versus improving Java to professional level. Which way is preferred? I think you could make a case for either. And in one of those career frameworks, I don't remember which one of them said you're either going to go deep or you're going to go broad in a lot of things. And there's value in both. So I don't know that I could swing you in one way or the other. I don't know, Luce, do you have opinions on that?
I'm kind of with you that it kind of depends. Like you get the T-shaped developer, which is very much what you were just talking about, where you can know a lot about one thing, but you'll have a slightly broader knowledge of other things, which is what makes T-shape. I think it depends really, doesn't it? Because if if there's a lot of opportunities to go down that one language or one framework that you know well and that you're passionate about, then there might be a benefit to focusing on that. But I also think that having at least trying to take some time to learn a broad range of things and follow that T is really valuable as well, because by learning to be a learner, you'll pick up skills along the way that you'll realize that you can apply without even realizing it. And so I think it kind of, as corny as it sounds, it evolves you as a person while doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Being a dev definitely means knowing how to Google, for
Yep.
sure. All right, so now let's get to the meat of it, right? How are we actually going to do this? How are we going to raise your profile? So I've got 10 ways, and I would love to hear as I'm working through these, if you have questions, if you agree, disagree, if you've got add-on comments, pile them in. So number 1, become the go-to person for a particular language like Python, or a technology like Kubernetes, or a common challenge that maybe your customers face. Be that go-to person for your team or for your entire company. Oh, this is what I was talking about a minute ago. I got out of order in my slides. So Dropbox specifically calls out domain expertise in their career framework. So they say you're an authority at Dropbox on a particular domain. This could be a platform, for example, Windows or iOS, a particular field of computer science, or a product category. So as you grow along the arc of being an engineer, you get deeper and deeper into a space, or expand to having more breadth. Impact often comes through consulting, quickly unblocking thorny issues in a domain, and finding creative, generalizable approaches to non-obvious problems in a domain. So identify what you're good at and go deeper and become that go-to person. So I think people across the industry see value in both, either having a wide range or going deeper. Let's see what Nick wrote here. Nick says, I raised my profile internally with huge impact by working on a project with a team outside of my own. It put me on the radar as a person and the skills I had. Yes, I remember you talking about this project and demoing it, and it was awesome. So this is a great idea. Cross-team collaboration is great. Oh yeah, and you get to define the domain, which is nice. You get to pick what you're interested in, what you're good at, really lean into your skills. What did I miss? You missed everything. How so sad. I'm just kidding. No, there'll be a recording right after available on YouTube so you can catch up. But we're glad you're here. Okay, next way to raise your profile. Contribute to open source projects. This is a great way for other developers to see your work. And being a contributor or a maintainer can give you a lot of visibility. Now, if you're like me and you don't enjoy coding in your off hours, see if there's a way that you can code in the open at work. Your company may also see value in contributing to open source projects or developing in the open. You may also want to create a README for your GitHub profile page to let people know a little bit about you. Joe Carlson has a really nice 60-second tutorial on how you can do this pretty easily with just a markdown file. So let me include a link in the chat to that video. It's pretty cool. Maybe. There we go.
You can do quite a lot with the README profiles as well. I found a blog post recently that I implemented in my profile README, which actually goes to look at the last, I think it was 5 blog posts released on my page.
Nice. And you did that on GitHub?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So everybody go check out Luce's GitHub profile because it sounds really awesome.
I'm just Luce Carter on GitHub.
Luce Carter. All right. Oh, I'm clicking in the wrong spot. Okay. Number 3, report the news for your team. So there are several different ways that you can do this. If someone on your team needs to be a representative as part of a larger cross-functional team, volunteer to be that person. You'll bring status updates, but you can also become known as the person who identifies or solves problems as the larger team works together. You can also become known as the expert on your part of the project. If someone needs to report status to the executives, this is a really great way to get to know them. They'll see your face on a regular basis. Now, if you're not a fan of extra meetings, you can volunteer to create an internal or external newsletter that provides updates about your piece of the product or the product as a whole. I will warn you, reporting the news can become seen as an administrative role that has less value. So make sure that you tailor the role in a way that gives you a lot of visibility and provides value to others. And I love Adrienne does this on our team. She creates an amazing newsletter. It goes out on the MongoDB community, which is community.mongodb.com, as well as on dev.to. And it's a compilation of all the things our team is doing. And it's a really cool newsletter. So look for that. Oh, I see we've got some questions. Oh, Luce, I would love to hear your answer to this one. How do you find a project that you can contribute to? I find it hard to get a grip of open source projects.
So that is a great question. So there's a few things that you can do. Issues and things on GitHub can often be tagged with labels like, good for newcomers or help wanted or things like that. So that's a good way of filtering down things that you might find difficult. I know there are some sites that will help curate projects that are looking for things to work on. And also, don't just think of open source work as adding a new feature or fixing an issue. Even basic things like fixing a typo in the README or just improving the documentation full stop is still an open source contribution. You don't have to kind of change the world with an open source contribution. Anything that you do is going to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my open source contributions are README fixes.
And it makes it better for everybody. This is a good question. How can we cope better with the time aspect of building our profile? Work-life balance is important too. I totally agree. Now, don't tell, my boss probably already knows, but Rita's hanging on here. I am very much I come in, I do my time, and I get out and I sign off. And I do that for a couple reasons. One is I got a kid that I got to take care of. Another reason is I work really hard to prevent burnout so that I stay focused. When I come in, I focus and I do that. I do my job really well and then I get out so I don't burn out. And also I just have other things I like doing. So I think that's okay. I think it's okay to come in and work your hours and do your job really well and still leave your job at the door. I think that's okay.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. It's true the tech industry has a bit of a problem that often meetups are in the evenings or after work, where it's not so inclusive for parents or carers or people who just generally don't want to go and do more work things after work. But, and obviously we're very lucky that we work in an environment where we can work in a way that works for us. I can vouch for, do amazing work during your office hours. And then, you can go, right, that's it, I'm done for the day. Whereas for me, I have really bad ADHD that we haven't managed to manage yet. I haven't found the right medication to work. So I jump in and out and you might find me working at 9 p.m. because I was useless during the day. You just got to do what works for you. But it's definitely important to do a work-life balance. And I think just being able to kind of have a conversation with your boss about, hey, is it okay if I block out an hour in my calendar to write a talk? Or, if I take a longer lunch break to attend this event in the evening. And that's not always possible with your schedule, but it's just about kind of not thinking that you have to do your development work from 9 to 5 and then go do something else. It's okay to mix the two together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you make a really good point because I think we both have different strategies and do what works for you, what's going to make you a great employee and help you not burn out and sustain the work over the long term. All right, Luce, we're getting some shout outs. People are loving your shirt.
There you go. That's what it says.
I prefer the term more intelligent than you, Harsh.
It was a Christmas gift.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, before we went live, I was like, should I change my shirt? Is this going to be controversial? But then I was like, no, it's just a bit of personality. It's fine, and it's not like the camera shows that much anyway.
I like that. It's not controversial. It's personality.
Oh, that feels like that's going to open a can of worms. Say
Yeah,
someone
that's
says
not.
something offensive at work, and it's like, oh, it's just my personality.
You're right. You're right. That's not good advice. But I think it's good advice here. Don't expand that advice out. All right. I think we'll keep going. Luce, the comments are coming in, so you keep an eye on them for us.
I'm all over it.
All right. Awesome. All right. Number 4. So if you want to be seen as an expert on something, write about it. Even if there are other people out there who know more about the topic than you do, if you're writing about it, people will assume you know what you're talking about. You can write about things you already know or things you are learning, right? We talked about learning in the open. Writing about topics you don't already know is a great way to reinforce your learning. So there are a variety of places where you can write. Your company may have, oh, we jumped way ahead. Your company may have an engineering blog. You can create your own personal blog. And there are sites like dev.to and Medium that allow you to write without spinning up your own blog. So take a chance. And we saw people earlier in the chat talking about they were great at writing and documenting things, which is great. So lean into that strength.
Yeah, I started out on Medium.
Did that work?
I only moved away from, yeah, the only reason I moved away from Medium was because I got to a point where I was blogging quite a lot, and so, which I don't anymore, I'm terrible, but I was blogging quite a lot, and I just wanted more personalization of what it looked like, and the kind of to get my personality and look and feel into it. But yeah, so I moved away for those reasons, and I could give a whole talk on the journey I took to end up where I did with my blog. But yeah, Medium's a really fantastic place to start because you can just get started for free. You just create an account and start writing.
Yeah. You don't get dragged down into like, how am I going to build this blogging platform? You can just start writing.
Yep.
Oh, this is a great one. How can we deal with the fear of criticism with regards to blogs? Yeah. I live this, and I live this, especially with videos. People on the internet are mean.
Yes.
And it's real. It's a very real thing. So I guess the way I tackle it is, well, first I try to get my stuff reviewed by somebody else that I trust, knows the topic. And so I've got a layer of protection there. Like if something's really wrong, they're going to flag it and catch it. And it's funny how like I'll get like 5 compliments on something, and if somebody says something nasty, like that is what I dwell on. And so I will go talk to my husband, and he'll be like, Lauren, people are just mean, you just have to let it go. And it's easier said than done, but like that's just kind of how it is. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and I think the thing to remember as well is that, like you say, people are just mean. A lot of the time, people are just keyboard warriors that they're disassociated because they're behind a screen and they've probably had a bad day, and it's easy to just, rain on your parade and say something mean. A lot of the time, you'll probably find they don't even know what they're talking about. They just wanted to be mean to somebody. I think you shouldn't. It's easy to sit here and say, "Oh, just do it anyway," like stepping out of your comfort zone that you mentioned at the start. But you really should just do it because it's about quantity over quality. There's a guy on YouTube who's got like over 1 million, it's got over like 2 million subscribers on YouTube, and he does loads of stuff around productivity, and he quotes from like productivity books a lot. And one of the bits of advice that he gives is literally about that. It's about just get 100 videos out there. It doesn't matter if they're terrible, just get them out there, because without realizing it, your editing and video making skills and your presenting skills or whatever will just improve without you knowing it from practice. So yes, someone might have something mean to say about your blog post or your content or anything like that. But if it's something you care enough about to take the time to sit and write, then ignore everyone else. Just be proud of the fact that you created something about a topic you love.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. Maybe it gets easier over time,
It does.
I can sort of parse out like, oh, this is a constructive criticism. I can make this better, or I need to just let this go. This is just mean, maybe. Yeah, people, Nick, people crap on my videos and blogs all the time. It hurts, but if the feedback is valuable, maybe slowly integrate it or just ignore it. Yes,
I
you
chose
really
not to
have to
use that
parse it.
word. Yeah, I chose not to use that C word, and I used rain on your parade because I wasn't sure if we're allowed to use naughty language. But it's true. Sometimes people just want an excuse to be mean, and it's not even personal.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the love. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for these nice comments. All right, we'll keep moving here. Another thing you can do is give tech talks. These can be small lunch and learns at your company or huge international conferences or really anywhere in between. Now, just like writing, people are going to assume you're an expert if you're talking about a topic. And I guarantee you have something that you can talk about. Whether you're a seasoned expert or brand new to coding, you have a story to tell. Now, many people have a fear of public speaking. That's super normal. Don't let that fear stop you. You can start in small venues where you feel comfortable and then just start taking baby steps up to bigger venues. I was interviewed recently about how I got started speaking at tech conferences, and I shared tips for other people. So I'll drop a link to this in the chat. And also we have the MongoDB speakers program. So if you want to speak about MongoDB at a conference, you can check out the speakers program. You can apply to work with a speaking coach and get funding to attend the conference, which is fun because conferences are usually in fun places when COVID's not around. But they're coming back. Conferences are coming back. So there's
Yeah,
a
I'm off
link
to
to the
London
MongoDB speakers
soon.
program. I saw that and I was like, I can't believe it's really happening. So it's mongodb.local in London.
Yes, and I get to meet Rita, which is the best part.
That'll be awesome. Where can people, when is that? How can people find out more about the event if they want to join you in London?
So it'll be on the 9th of November at Evolution London, which is in Battersea Park. In terms of what the link is, that's a very good question, and I'll see if I can find the answer. Carry on, and I'll drop the link in chat when I find it.
Thank you. All right, number 6, post on social media. Maybe you love it, maybe you hate it, but it's hard to deny that social media is a great way to raise your profile. You can create short, bite-sized content on platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok, or you can create longer, more in-depth content on Twitch, YouTube, or a podcast. Posting to all these platforms might seem a bit daunting, but you can likely reuse or recycle the same content and post it in different places. I joined TikTok right after the pandemic began, and I started creating short, silly TikToks about life as a developer. And they do okay on TikTok, but I hesitantly started reposting the TikToks on LinkedIn, and they do really well there. I think of LinkedIn as this like very professional platform, but people seem to really enjoy the silliness when it appears there. So what I've noticed is that I interact with a lot of the developer community on LinkedIn, who I've never met in person. But I also interact with a lot of my fellow MongoDB employees on LinkedIn, who again, I may not ever talk to on a regular basis. So posting on LinkedIn has raised my profile both internally at MongoDB and externally in the broader developer community. Ooh, tools for managing all these platforms. I use Buffer because it's really easy and free. I think I've heard Hootsuite is really nice. I don't know, do you have a favorite? Do you use a platform to manage your socials?
Nope. I'm not
No.
as prolific a tweeter and TikToker as you. Right, your tweet game is on point. Like I have notifications when you tweet so that I can be supportive. And
Oh,
well, it's just I try and support our team because our team is great. And And so I felt, I get notifications if anyone on our team tweets. But yeah, like your tweets are great. Me personally, I just go on Twitter and tweet what I want to say. I don't really use the other platforms. But there is definitely value in creating these posts. Like my most interacted with tweet for a long time with the one that I released when I put a silly video together to announce my job.
Yes, I still have your blog post like open as a tab, and I need to read it. Like it's very sad, but it's there. I look at it like every
The
day. I'm
blog
like, I'm
post is
gonna read
about
it.
the blog post is about my first week, but I actually made a tweet that's pinned to the top of my Twitter timeline where I actually made a silly video to announce my job, where I literally like
Oh,
walk
that's
up,
right.
find an avocado, because advocates often jokingly call it an avocado. Find an avocado on my like garden table, lift it up, and then a portal appears in my shed. And then like when you look through the portal on my shed, it just announces my job.
That's awesome. All right, so go find Luce on Twitter and check out that video. All right, okay, this is a great question. Any suggestion to beat procrastination? And Liz, I feel like we probably have different approaches, so I'm curious what your approach is.
So the best advice I can give is either Pomodoro timers. So you set yourself, maybe most people do 25 minutes. I do 10 because I can't do 25 minutes. If I try to force myself to constantly focus for 25 minutes with a short break, I'd get headaches. But you can break, you can just set timers that you do like 10, 15, 20 minutes of focus work where you don't get distracted by anything. And sometimes that can help your brain to go, oh, that's okay. I can worry about that question I'm thinking of later because I know that in X number of minutes I've got a break. Or just go with it. If you're not feeling like doing what it is that you've got to do in that moment, find something else that you do want to do on your to-do list. And then eventually you'll just run out of things in your to-do list and it'll all be done.
Yeah. So people are asking what timer. It's called a Pomodoro technique. I just dropped a link if you want to try it out. I think there are web apps. Do you use a specific app or do you just set a timer on your phone?
I set time on my watch.
On your watch.
But yeah, there's websites for it. You can get apps. There's one, I can't remember the exact name, but it basically helps you. It builds a tree. So you have this app. You can pick a tree or flower that you like, and as you don't get distracted and keep the app there running with the timer, trees slowly build, and then you can build like a forest. It's called Forest. There you go. That's reminding me. And yes, you can build this forest, and if you get distracted during a Pomodoro work session, the trees will die, and it's just an emotional way of guilt tripping you into concentrating.
Wow. So I think my approach is a bit different. I will get sucked into something and I don't like to move on until I have finished it. So what I do is I start the beginning of my day and I say, what are my, 2 or 3 most important things that I have to get done today? And that's what I focus on. And I try to look at them and say, okay, what's most urgent? Because that's important, but also like what is critical for me over the long term? And I pick from that, and that's how I decide. And I just go at it. So for me, I'm always like, I need to remember to set breaks. I need to get up and walk around, because I will sit and work on something and just toil at it, and I'll get stuck, but I don't want to leave. So sometimes remembering to get up and get away and then come back and things clear up. So
Yeah, breaks are
that's sort of
super
my
important.
approach.
Not only does it, it's like obviously it helps to take breaks, but sometimes your brain will kind of problem solve while you're taking a break anyway.
Yes, it works. Yes, shower thoughts. Yes. Okay, this is a big one. All right, this is Luce's domain, so I'm just going to sit back, have a sip.
Well, so unfortunately, I don't think there is a cure for imposter syndrome, which is why it's still a thing that so many people suffer from. But I think it's just about kind of taking a step back and realizing that, no matter what it is that you're feeling an imposter about, whether it, even if it's your job, you don't just get thrown in there. Like they've looked at your background, they looked at your resume, they've taken the time to talk to you. By thinking, oh, you don't belong there, you're almost suggesting that the people that hired you aren't good enough to realize that you belong there either. So it's just about realizing, do you know what? I do add value. I do know what I'm talking about. You might be thinking, oh, I don't belong here. But, you know, there's things that you can do, you know, like recording your successes to just remind yourself on the bad days that, oh, you know, this is okay. Like I've got a accomplishments list. Even silly things like when I get at work, we have a recognition system, and every time someone sends me some points, I tally up the total and just keep it in my accomplishments list.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I keep a list of compliments or bonusly points or anything like that, and it is amazing. Every time I read through it, I do give myself a little boost of confidence. It works.
Yeah, I think it's too easy, especially with imposter syndrome, to get drawn into that black hole of negativity and forget all the good things you've achieved. Because, like you said, with the negative comments versus the positive ones, we're just naturally wired to focus on the negative, and so it's important to just have those happy moments recorded, so you can feel those rays of happy sunshine and endorphins when you when you feel like an imposter.
Yes. And Lucy, you talk about this a lot on your Twitch stream. Is that right? Should we point people to your Twitch stream to learn more?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't necessarily talk about imposter syndrome and how to beat it. I'm just very transparent that it exists, and that, you know, you'll watch me suffer from it as well all the time. Like I mentioned earlier, if anyone was here that was asking the question, yeah, you know, CSS just makes me want to cry. A good friend of mine's actually written a talk about how the box model will change your life, and she literally put it together after watching me have a meltdown on stream over CSS, because it just never follows the logic that you get taught. And I'm like, no, I've not resorted to crying on stream yet, but sometimes it can get tough.
For sure. For sure. Okay, here's a question from Rael. When I help someone with a technical problem, I usually end with saying, I think, or I think this may work. Is that imposter syndrome?
Maybe it would probably require a bit more context and psychological digging, but that also could just be confidence. You know, it might just be that you're unsure about, you know, being wrong. You know, there's always this fear of making a mistake or being wrong. So sometimes I think this may work. It's just a barrier you put up as a kind of well, you know, I did say I think, so if it doesn't work, you know, I'm not a bad person, or like I'm not bad at this.
Yeah. So, Lucy, you've studied this a lot more than I have, but in general, I think about imposter syndrome as being the idea of feeling like, oh, I'm not sure if I belong here. You know, I'm an imposter, and people are going to realize I don't belong here, and I'm not qualified to be where I am. Is that kind of how you define it?
Yeah, so that's what most people think of imposter syndrome as, but there's actually multiple types. So that's the most common one. But there's also ones much more like I get, which is like, oh, you know, I'm rubbish at this, I should just stop bothering. And it's not that I think that I'm a fraud and someone's going to find me out and fire me. I just think I shouldn't do this. And so back in 2019, I think it was, my imposter syndrome being a developer actually got so bad that I stopped and became a QA tester. Now, looking back, I think some of my developer problems just stem from ADHD, but I had to wait so long for diagnosis. I didn't know at the time that really was what it was. But yeah, you know, it can come in many different forms. It's just anything that makes you think that you're not good enough in some way, even though there's evidence, like working in it professionally, that proves that you're more than good enough. You know, it comes in different types. And there's some really interesting talks that other people have given all about imposter syndrome. You know, if you just type imposter syndrome into YouTube, you'll find some really great talks about it.
Okay, this is a really good question from Maverick Amit. Is chasing perfectionism a good thing? Because it takes a lot to be a perfectionist. So people, and maybe this is a cultural thing, I don't know. People in the US use perfectionist as almost a negative term, that you're, and I feel this way because I fall into this category of like wanting everything to be just so. And so people say, oh, you need to just let it go, right? Let it go. So instead of using the term perfectionist, I say I have a passion for excellence. I want things to be high quality. And maybe that's just rebranding it. But I think there is something to be said. There is something to be said for quality, though. I want my work to be high quality. I want my team's work to be high quality. And that is something that's really important to me. So I think that that's a good thing. At the same time, you have to know when to you do have to know, okay, this does not matter as much. It's good enough. We're going to let it go. And finding that balance is tricky. It's very tricky.
Yeah, I think going back to one of your earlier points about, when you write content, getting people that you trust to review it is actually quite a good link to that, because perfectionism will hold you back. Because in your mind, if you're a perfectionist, nothing is ever good enough to go out there. And that's not true. There'll be people out there who release things with the most awful typos and grammar errors in it because no one else has reviewed it for them, and they've still put it out there. And that's okay, because people learn in different ways, and there's going to be plenty of people out there who don't mind that there's typos or grammar mistakes or it's not the best English or whichever language it's written in. They'll just get value from the content. So I think having a high standard is positive. I think being a perfectionist, not so much, because it will just hold you back from releasing. And if you don't release these things or produce the content or give the talk, whatever it is, you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to learn from it either.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, nice shout out for you, Luce. Developer. I'm actually working on getting diagnosed, and it's refreshing to hear you talk about it like this. So
yeah, I'm an open book. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm an open book. I'll happily talk about it, especially because, it's well known that here in the UK we have free healthcare, and it's wonderful on so many levels. But at the same time, it means that some services that aren't so frontline in emergency get budget cuts because it costs, over probably at least $10 billion, if not more, a year to pay for our healthcare. And so budget cuts cut things back. So I think my ADHD diagnosis, I was waiting 4.5 years. So for me,
wow.
I've known for so long that I had this problem and that it's held me back in different things. And I've always been open about it, but I've always had to do the caveat of ADHD symptoms. Whereas now I've got my diagnosis, it's so much easier. Now I know that I tick 90% of the boxes of every type of ADHD there is, because there's 3 categories. I think it's hyperactivity, inattentiveness, and impulsivity. And yeah, I ticked all these boxes, which is great to hear, but it kind of makes you stop and realize, oh, wow, this has really made my life hard, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I think you've got an awareness, and you've worked on tools and techniques, and I think it's great.
Yeah, now, I'll be the first to admit I still haven't mastered it yet. And, this week I should get some new medication in the mail to try, because the last lot didn't help. But obviously, thankfully, I'm just in an amazing culture where my whole team are just really supportive, and, no one puts pressure on me to finish anything or work certain hours or work in a certain way. The team knows that I'm always there for them. I'll always produce good content. And, and but then we're very lucky that we just work with a really great team.
Yes. It's awesome to be able to be open about these things. Yes, I love that. I love that even though we're on the internet right now, this has suddenly become a very safe space to share, which is so
It's always
nice.
a safe space. We're a very inclusive environment. I think if anyone tried to be anything but inclusive in here, they'd get shut down very quickly.
True. All right, I think I'm going to jump back to the slides now. This was good discussion. So another idea, lead an employee networking group. Now, companies have different names for these. I've heard them called affinity groups or business resource groups. What I'm talking about are those groups at your company for particular groups of people with a common interest. When I was at IBM, I led the worldwide group for people who worked remotely. At MongoDB, I currently participate in the women's group. These groups provide an opportunity to demonstrate leadership as well as build connections with people across the company. At MongoDB, our executives are involved in these groups, so it's a great way to get to know an executive in a more informal setting. I'm going to caveat this recommendation. Some companies really value the work people do in leading these networking groups, and other companies see these as like nice to have groups that don't really provide a lot of value to the business. So be sure you can frame your work in these groups in a way that matters to your management team. All right, number 8, attend a attend, host, or speak at a meetup or hackathon. Meetups and hackathons are a great way to get connected with other people in your local community. Hosting a meetup doesn't really require any technical skills, but if you execute the meetups consistently, people will see you as a leader. Attending and asking thoughtful questions will also help you be seen as a technical leader. Hackathons are a fantastic way to work with and get to know other developers in your area. So get involved in your favorite meetup or hackathon. I know Nick runs, is it the Tracy Developers Meetup? Are you involved in any meetups, Luce?
So I used to run the Xamarin user group here in Manchester, but our local .NET user group is actually one of the largest in Europe with something like 6,000 members. And so because Xamarin falls under the .NET space, I found that they'd have Xamarin speakers. And so there was a bit of a clash. And I was like, you know what? There's no point taking focus away from an amazing, well-established group. I'll just go there and be an advocate for them. But I used to. And I organised a conference as well.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Which conference do you lead?
It's something called Bar Camp. So it's an unconference. So people can literally, and it's been virtual a few times. So if we're still virtual for our next one, people are more than welcome to attend virtually. But yeah, essentially, if people don't know what an unconference is, you turn up on the day and we have a grid with tracks and then, talk slots at different times. And you can, attendees are the ones that make the talk. So if there's something you just want to talk about for 20 minutes, you can just come and share your story. It doesn't have to be technical. We've had making balloon animals, how to make halloumi cheese, someone turning their Roomba vacuum into a fighting robot. Like, it's all sorts of fun things. And I've given talks there before. I think, productivity with Notion. There's also, what are the ones I've done? Oh, my story into technology, because people find it quite interesting. You can just talk about whatever you want, but it's just really fun because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that is fun. So if people want to get involved in your, was it Bar Camp? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So I'll show the link.
Awesome. All right. So people are asking, how can they join the Tracy Developer Meetup? Otto is going to be speaking about Next.js and MongoDB. I'm going to assume Nick is going to answer that question in the chat for us. And hey, Cryptolicious, glad to have you here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And welcome, welcome. Yeah, everybody don't forget to hit those like buttons, subscribe, all that. And, usually on this channel, we're doing very technical talks. We're live coding or we're talking about schema design or things like that. We don't usually do soft talks like this. So if you like this style of talk, let us know. Let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover in the future. All right, we're going to keep moving here. Number 9, answer questions publicly online on places like Stack Overflow or community forums. If you provide thoughtful, accurate answers, people will begin to recognize your name. When I worked at IBM, I decided to answer one question a day in our online forums. This helped our users recognize me, but it also demonstrated to my team that I was knowledgeable and helpful. So Stack Overflow is a great place. I got to give a shout out to the MongoDB community, which is available at community.mongodb.com. And you can go on there and hang out, answer questions, ask questions about MongoDB, and we would love to see you there. We've got people, our team's there answering questions. People from the community are there, our community champions. So definitely come check that out.
Yeah, it's a really great place, and I like how responsive everyone is as well. Some forums you can go to, and they're a little bit like tumbleweed sometimes, but our forum is always really active, and people are always there to help. And like you say, not just us, but people in the community as well.
Yeah. All right. Last tip. We're almost there. My last tip for you today, and possibly the most important, is to advertise your work. So if you have a daily scrum or a weekly status meeting, show up ready to talk about what you've accomplished over the last week, the last day. When you meet someone new, be ready with your elevator pitch. Practice it out loud before you meet people so you feel comfortable talking about it. Capture any compliments you get and make sure your management team sees them. For example, if someone were to tweet how much they loved this Twitch stream, I would grab the link and forward that right on to my manager. If somebody gives me a compliment verbally, I ask them to send it to me as an email as well, if they're comfortable, so that I can forward that on to my manager. I've got a Google Doc where I keep a running list of every compliment that I receive. And it sounds like Luce does this as well. Just keep a big list of your accomplishments. Yeah. And then when it's time for me to write my performance review, I organize the compliments, group them into categories, and I actually paste those directly into my performance review. And I see Otto's been hanging here. He was my manager for a while. I see Rita was here. I don't know if she's still hanging. I don't know if this annoys my managers, but I do it because it gives them tangible evidence that I'm doing a good job, right? It's not just me saying it, it's other people saying it as well. And if possible, find a manager who is good at advertising your work as well. I've been very fortunate that my director, my boss's boss, Joe, who I showed you at the beginning, he acts as a sponsor for me. He speaks well of me when I'm not in the room. If I send him a really good compliment, he forwards it on to his boss. And this means that the executive team isn't only hearing about me at performance review time, they're hearing positive things about me throughout the year. So those are my top 10 tips for raising your profile.
Great tips.
And thank you. Raising your profile is probably going to feel uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. That's normal. I encourage you to make a plan. Take baby steps as you step out of your comfort zone. So consider, what can you do this week, this month, and thinking longer term, thinking about this year. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you a minute to think about this, and I encourage you to share in the chat. But before I do that, let me just remind you of the tips for raising your profile. So 1, become the go-to person. Contribute to open source or public projects. Be the news reporter for your team. Write blog posts or articles. Give tech talks. Post on social media. Lead an employee networking group. Attend, host, or speak at a meetup or hackathon. Answer questions publicly online. And advertise your work. So as you're thinking about what you can do, try to be as specific as you can. So if you want to become that go-to person, what do you want to become the go-to person for? So I'm going to pause and let you all share. And Luce, while we're waiting for people, do you have an idea of something you want to try in the future?
Well, so one of the things I wanted to do was to speak at one of our company events, but obviously this week that opportunity's fallen in my lap, which was fantastic. Because obviously I've given public talks elsewhere, but the chance to actually, be trusted to speak for the company at a company event, that's an honor for me, and it's nice. And actually, amazingly, I was requested personally because I've got a reputation for being good at speaking, and also being in the same country as the event, which helps. There's all the COVID restrictions, of course. I don't need to quarantine; I just travel. But so I think speaking for the company is one. I just want to be known for someone who's kind of kind and patient and makes content that helps people. If people come to me with a question, I want to feel like, I'll be able to take the time to help them and be helpful. And one tip I would give, though, is don't try and do all 10 of these at once. It will become massively overwhelming. Like, some of these aren't too bad, like posts on social media. Every time you achieve something that you're proud of, whether it's releasing a blog post or planning a talk, tweet about it. Or it can be, I'm thinking of writing this talk about X product. What are the kind of questions that you wish would be answered? Because one of the key things when you're writing a talk is, what's the story you want to tell? What is it that you want people to take away from the talk that you give? So, you'll get interactions on social media and people will remember you if you involve them in kind of, brainstorming ideas or answering questions. But yeah, these are all fantastic tips. But just remember that trying to do all of them at once will be overwhelming.
For sure. Yes, definitely take baby steps. All right, so Nick says, it feels weird at first, but I actually asked the people I work with that are not on my team to send a message to my manager with feedback about their experience working with me. Ooh, that is so, if I can imagine like how awkward that would feel like the first time you do it, but I bet you got great feedback. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite, I don't know about like US culture, but that's quite common over here. Not necessarily informally doing that, but as part of performance reviews, you're often asked to get feedback from your peers that you've worked with, whether it's regularly or from time to time in different roles. And that feedback, forms part of your performance review.
Yeah. The results are wonderful unless they hated working with me.
Who could hate working with you, Nick?
Oh, you'd be surprised. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Nick you set me up for that.
I know we've got to appreciate Nick, because I couldn't log in properly to post some things. Nick dropped by and helped us out, so we have to be nice to Nick.
We do. We love Nick. We appreciate all he does behind the scenes for sure.
100%.
We've got a question. How can we combat thunder thieves? And someone asked for me, I appreciate, what are thunder thieves? And then, nope, that's the wrong one. Someone said, people who steal your thunder, or steal your idea or work. This is a tricky one. And I don't know that I've had to, I don't know that I've faced this much, at least overtly in the past. I try really hard just to keep my manager informed of what I'm working on. And I think that helps. Like they already know. I don't know. Liz, have you faced this explicitly?
No, I don't think I have either. I think we've been very lucky, because I'm sure it does happen in a lot of places. But yeah, I think, like you say, I think the best thing you can do is just have regular catch-ups with your boss, whether it's a scheduled one-to-one, like, I'm sure you have with Rita, I certainly do every week. Mm-hmm. And so, yep. Our boss is well up to speed of what we're up to, and not only there to support us if we've got problems, but also, like you say, is aware of what you're doing. And if they're already aware of what you're up to, then no one can really steal your thunder, because your boss already knows that you're the one that did it. And also it ties into your, the keeping a document of your accomplishments and your little wins, because if you can, share a URL or a screenshot or just something related to your accomplishment, so that it's there as a visual as well as just a list, you already got the proof that it was you anyway.
Yeah. I have heard, I know this happens to women a lot, and I'm sure it happens to other people as well. A woman will say something, and then a man will say it, and then he'll get credit for the idea. And she's like, well, I just said this 2 minutes ago. Oh, and so yes. I think having, right. So having people in the room who are aware of that and will say, oh, didn't Luce just say that? Didn't Lauren just say that? And just having people who will call that out for you right away is really helpful. But that kind of sucks when that happens.
Yeah, if it's happened to me, I don't know, but then I'm very lucky. Not only my ADHD, but I've got Asperger's as well. So these things just go way over my head and I just wouldn't notice. but yeah, like you say, I think the best thing you can do for yourself and for your colleagues is, like you say, be an ally. If you see someone else trying to repeat a point that someone else made that maybe wasn't listened to as much as it should have been, just call them out. Be like, oh yeah, didn't so-and-so say that 2 minutes ago?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's your boss that steals your thunder. That really sucks. That sucks. I don't have a good strategy. I'm curious to see if other people have suggestions on that. I do not have a good suggestion. That sucks, and you need a better boss.
I was just going to say, if your boss steals your thunder, get a new boss.
Sometimes that's easier said than done, but that really
true.
Sucks. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, Jason, we were just chatting in the community yesterday. Been busy. Been on the podcast, posting every day with 100 Days of Code, enrolled in the open source challenge. That's awesome. How can I contribute to open source? Lucy, you hit on this earlier. Can you give us a quick summary again, your suggestions?
Yeah, so just, find if it's products or tools that you use that you like are open source, find them on GitHub, look at the issues. They often get tagged with things like, help wanted or good for beginners. the tags are custom, so they'll be named different things on different repos. But yeah, essentially just go on and have a look and just find things that are tagged or labeled, as I think they're called on GitHub. It's just, something that you think would suit you, whether it's, good for beginners. And it might just be a really nice, easy, gentle, welcome introduction.
I think that's a great idea. All right. I think we're going to start wrapping up. So it's your last minute. If we missed any of your questions, please drop them in the chat. So I guess in summary, just go ahead and I encourage you to take this list and write down, what can you do this week? What can you do this month? And then bigger picture, what can you do this year? And look at it, once a month and see what baby steps you can take. And it will be baby steps, but if you do them consistently over time, they are going to add up. So you have got this. And I can't wait to hear about all of you in the coming weeks and months. I'm excited.
Yeah, drop by. Like, I'm streaming again on the 15th of September, where we're doing it's all about schema validation, and I'm learning about it from an expert. But yeah, if you're watching now, come back in 2 weeks. Share with me what it is that you've been up to in those 2 weeks. What have you learned? What baby steps have you taken? I want to hear all about it.
Yes. Or tweet us too. I would love to hear about it, either in community or in Twitter. That would be awesome. And I know who Luce is streaming with, and it's going to be a fun stream. I'm excited. I'm trying not to spill the beans, but it's going to be good.
It will. I am going to announce it soon. I just wanted to get some a really English phrase, get my ducks in a row before I I put it out there publicly.
Yes.
But that was awesome. I learned so much from you.
Thank you. Yeah, sharing what I learned from my mentors going through. So I'm so glad you all learned a lot. Let's see. Yeah, I'm glad you all hung. I know this one went long. I appreciate you all hanging and having fun with us.
Yeah, sorry. Don't try and stick to a schedule if you're streaming with me, because I just like a good conversation.
I think that's great. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Oh, look at all these lovely supportive messages.
It makes me so happy. Yeah, you're on the treadmill. I love the multitasking. That's actually one of my tips about working remotely, is if you're going to be just kind of watching something mindlessly, like an all hands or something where you're not going to be like on camera interacting, is just do something else, like get on your treadmill, go for a walk. Because if I sit at my desk, I'm going to answer email, I'm going to talk to people on Slack. But once you get your hands away from the keyboard, you can really listen. So I love that we were with you during your workout. I'm so glad you found it useful. How to get hired at MongoDB. This is a great question.
Careers.mongodb.com.
That's what I was about. You are on it. Yeah. Go to careers.mongodb.com and you can search for an opening. And yeah, good luck to you. We would love to work with you. All right.
We just got a question in. Lauren, were you friends with Russell Wilson? Do you mean the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks? Or am I missing something?
That is, yes, he's the quarterback from the Seattle Seahawks.
See,
and
I know NFL.
I know nothing about soccer, so I'm impressed you know about football. Yes, I was at NC State when Russell Wilson was there. Unfortunately, I was in the marching band and I did not get to interact with Russell at all. So no, I'm very, very, very disappointed that I did not get to meet him. But he seems like a genuinely nice guy. He's great. And also, I have another connection to him. My cousin is working as an intern at the Seahawks right now. Is he still? I should know this. Is he still at the Seahawks, or did he get?
Yes.
Did he get traded? Because
there was all this talk of him getting traded. I don't know. Like, I'm here in the UK. Like, we have BBC, the multimedia company. And they have an NFL program that comes out pre-season and then during the season that goes through the teams and stuff, and every week. So I'm a bit out of the loop at the moment because it's off season. So maybe, but I don't think he's left, but this is the wrong time of year to ask me about it.
Yeah. We need somebody to tell us if he's still there.
I think he is. I'm 95%
Okay.
sure he is.
Okay, good. Oh, he's under contract for a long time. Okay, good. So I kept seeing all these articles over the summer saying he was going to get traded, and I was like, no.
Talking of sports, did you know that Rita has played football with Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah, she shared that yesterday, and I was like, I don't know who that person is.
He's like one of the greatest players of all time. He's like the Babe Ruth of modern football.
Oh, okay. So he's a big deal.
Yes, very big deal.
Okay, here's another football comment. Your football.
Neither. I live walking distance from the City Stadium, so but I'm not a supporter. I'm a neutral. I've been to a few games because I love football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. But as I always say to people, if you took a different team, put them in the same place where I could walk to matches, my friends went and we got discounted tickets, I'd still go.
You're not particular.
No, not at all. I love sports, as you can tell from the fact that I actually know about American football. Don't get me wrong, I think games of American football stop too much, but I do watch it. Oh yeah, there's my silly video.
Oh yeah. There, but no sound. But there it is. So yes, someone was asking for your Twitter. So there it is. And yes, I lost it, but someone said they can't wait to share their baby steps, and we can't wait to hear them.
Me neither. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that tweet. It took me hours to make that video, and it's like 30 seconds long.
That's the worst, but you know, sometimes it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I've been getting into developer relations has been my dream for many, many years since I discovered it was a thing. So getting this job was a dream come true for me. So I had to do something ridiculous and just over the top because that's somewhat my personality.
Well, cool. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap then. So thank you all so much for hanging with us. I know this stream went long. We appreciate you. So don't forget to drop us a like and a follow before you leave. And we would love to connect with you on social and in the community. And yeah, we can't wait to hear your baby steps. So I think we're done then, Luce.
Absolutely. Thank you for dropping by, everyone. And fingers crossed, I'll see you in 2 weeks with my super surprise guest.
Yes. Bye, everybody.